10 random magic cards rated and the comment section baited. Day number 101. We had our big 100 celebration yesterday live on Twitch. I was very touched by all the comments in the comments section. There's about 100 of you in there now saying like, I love this series. So I got to say, I teared up a little bit reading your comments. It meant a lot to me, but it's back to business. It's 101. Nothing special about 101. Let's just see what our first card of the day is on a Friday afternoon. It's Vivid Grove. I like these Vivid lands like a lot, to the point that I wish they would reprint them into standard. These were originally printed in Lorwyn. This one is the green one. It comes into play tap with 2 charge counters. You can tap it for a green, or you can tap it, remove a charge counter to add a mana of any color to your mana pool. So kind of a Gemstone Mine reminiscent here, I would say. And I've always really liked Gemstone Mines. I got no problem with these. These were important in their standard environment in the 5-color control deck that we, for whatever reason, called Toast. I think it was probably in the same vein of deck naming as like Full English Breakfast and stuff like that. And I'd really like to do a whole video one day about like naming decks, because I am sick of it. I hate that we introduced the names for the guilds a little bit. I hate that we introduced the names for the 3-color combinations, because now it's just like Azorius Oculus. Whereas the name of that deck should be Hand-Eye Coordination, because it's Helping Hand and a giant eye. But we don't name things anymore because Wizards just named all the color combinations. And so we just say like, oh, it's Azorius plus the good card. So Azorius Helping Hand, Azorius Oculus. And I'm tired of it. We really should have clever names for decks anymore now, but I don't know how Toast was a clever name for 5-color control back in the day. It's just what it made me think of, because every card makes me think of some stupid random thing. I'm going to give Vivid Grove and probably all the Vid lands, but especially the blue and black ones tend to be a little bit better. A lot of the time, those are the ones that I actually saw a lot of play. But Grove was in there. It was in the mix. I'm gonna give these a 5.4. Actually, let's go 5.5. Let's do that. Let's go 5.5. These aren't gonna be better than a basic like all the time, but in your 4 and 5 color deck, these are surprisingly very good. So, they're not terrible. They're not. Executioner's Capsule is our second card of the day from Shards of Alara, but also printed in Brothers War Commander and some other Commander stuff. Executioner's Capsule is a single black mana for an artifact. You pay 1 a black and tap it and sacrifice it to destroy a non-black creature. So cast Doomblade on your artifact, which is okay. It's not really bad. Puts an artifact into play and then puts an artifact in the graveyard. It's an artifact to sacrifice to stuff if you want to do that, but mostly it's just Doomblade, and that's fine. You can't hate that too much. 5.1. 100% serious. Doomblade's a good card. It comes on an artifact. It's pretty good too. But Tribute to Hunger is up next from Innistrad. This is 3 mana, 2 and a black for an instant. Target opponent sacks a creature. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness. That's not great. Usually you want your Edict effects to cost 2, but at least it's instant speed. I'm going to give this a 4.5. Something like that. It's not a terrible removal spell, but it's also not really great either. A lot of the time. I feel like for 3 mana at instant speed, this could just be like better Dark Banishing. You know what I mean? Like destroy target creature or target non-black creature or something and then gain life equal to the toughness. Sacrifice is, it's not as good. Scavenger Hunt is an uncard, does not count. Borrow Blade, or Barrow Blade, really, is up next. This is a single mana for an equipment that equips for 1. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 whenever equipped creature blocks or becomes blocked by a creature. That creature loses all abilities until end of turn. That's kind of neat, but not good. It's a short sword with an extra ability, with extra steps, and that extra step is pretty sick, but it's not always going to be like that amazing. So I'm going to just throw 4. This thing's actually, let's go 3.5 on this bad boy right here. I actually do think this ability is kind of sweet, but it's just not always going to work out for you. The best thing it is just a cheap equipment, play it for 1, equip it for 1. And those are worth a 3.5, Gromp is up next. This is from Prophecy. It's actually Spor Frog, but it's also Gromp. So that's cute. What do you give Spor Frog, though? This is a single mana for a 1/1 frog. Sack it to prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. So a fog on legs. Foghorn Leghorn over here. Spor Frog's really good. In case you've never experienced Spor Frog. It's actually so much more annoying than it looks because it can be reanimated, right? And you play 4, right? But I'd say that now this is mostly relegated to the commander format, where it's still kind of you note that it actually commands some price. Here, 58 cents from Prophecy is probably sadly one of the more expensive cards from Prophecy. It's a pretty bad set. The set that got my cousin to stop playing Magic for like a whole year because for his birthday, he got a box of Prophecy. He was like super excited about it. We drove back from the card shop and my Uncle Tim, his dad, was like, you know what William wants to be when he grows up? And I was like, what's that? A professional Magic player. How do you feel about that? And I guess 20 years later, I am the closest thing I will ever be myself to a professional Magic player. So I guess I feel pretty good about it. But yeah, we opened that box of Prophecy and William was so disappointed that he stopped playing Magic until Mirrodin came out. And then he was really good. He was very, very good Magic player when Mirrodin came out. Yeah, actually my cousin helped me level up my game an awful lot because he lived down the street from a guy that got like 1600 on the SAT, always won F&M like every single week, a guy named Adam, who ended up going to Georgia Tech. Really smart dude, and he was very good at Magic. And I had taught William Magic, but was not very good at it. Adam taught William how to actually play Magic, and then taught me how to play Magic. Like, for real. But Spor Frog, aside from my memories with my cousin, just is a good card. It just is a good Magic card. One of the better cards in Prophecy to this day. So I kind of feel like giving Spor Frog a 5.7. I really do. This is very role player-ish, but it is an insanely important role player in the decks in which it plays roles. So yeah, 5.7. And I honestly really want to throw a 6 at this. Really badly. I'm not going to quite do it, man. Bloodsworn Squire is up next. This is not as good. Oh, that's better art. This is pretty. This is 4 mana, 3 and a black for a 3/3 vampire soldier. Pay 1 and a black. Discard a card. Bloodsworn Squire gains indestructible to a turn and tap it. There are 4 more creature cards in your yard. Transform Bloodsworn Squire into Bloodsworn Knight. You see how that works? It gets knighted. This is a star vampire knight with PT equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. You can pay 1 and a black and discard a card and have it gain indestructible till no turn tap it. So it's got the new regeneration ability. This one requires discarding a card, which actually isn't terrible in like a reanimator deck. It's not that bad, but I think you would just add white and play like Guardian of New Benalia in the same format this was available in. This never saw any play, and that's because it's 4 mana. And then you have to have 2 mana to give it the regenerate ability, and it costs a card. It's altogether not very good for like a variant of one of these guys, because we keep seeing, ever since Adanto Vanguard, right? We just see this guy's in like every other set. Just some version of him. But this costs twice as much as Adanto, and then also costs mana to use the ability. So they made it as bad as possible because they threw a transform ability on it that is not amazing. But I guess it is a Lurgoyf, you get like a 6/6 to 8/8, something like that, depending on how much you've been able to fill your yard that regenerates in this case. But honestly, regenerate is not the ability I wish was on Lurgoyfs. I wish that trample was on Lurgoyfs more often than not. They all need it, and like none of them have it. It's kind of lame. But yeah, I've talked too long about this card. It's terrible. We will give Bloodsworn Squire / Knight a 3.8. I think that's what you get. That's what you get. Let's move on to Scourge of Valkus. Printed in Magic 2014. It's still currently worth a couple of bucks. This is 5 mana, 2 and 3 red for a 4/4 flying dragon. When it or another dragon enters the battlefield under your control, that explains the price. It deals X damage to target creature or player, X being the number of dragons that you control. You can also pay. You can also Fire Breathe. Pay a red mana. It gets +1/+0. 5 mana 4/4 is not usually right where you want to be, but this is obviously kind of a must include in dragon decks. So, and it's any target, by the way. The errata on this is any target, so you can hit planeswalkers with it as well. There's the original wording doesn't say that. So any target is pretty sick. Even if you only have 2 other dragons when the CTBs, that's a lightning bolt, right? That's pretty good. And then late in the game when you have like 6 dragons, it's kind of crazy. You just play more dragons, do more damage. So that's great. You can blink the dragons and have them do this ability again. That's sexy. You can reanimate a dragon and have it do this thing. All that's good, especially late in the game if you happen to have like a bunch of dragon tokens or maybe some changelings, right? You got some like 2 and 3 mana changelings that act as dragons. And you play this off the top of your library, you're still like 8 to something. So that's, I don't know, man. I think this is great. It really only goes in Dragons decks, though, so I can't rate it too high. But in Dragons decks, again, it looks kind of like a must-include in a lot of ways. So I'm going to give... Dragons is pretty popular in Commander. We will give this... ask the audience. I got to ask the audience on this one. Because, again, Narrow only goes in Dragons decks. That's going to ding its score a little bit, but good lord in those Dragons decks. It's so good. So, 5. I really want to go higher. I want to go like 5.4 or something like that, but I think I'm just going to stick with a 5 here. You will literally never play it outside of a deck that doesn't have like a million dragons, but I don't know. Maybe Scourge is your only dragon. You just keep copying it over and over or something. Like, that could be cute. Saito Shape is the next card. This is only ever printed in Dissension. This is 3 mana, 1 in Simic colors, blue-green. For an instant, choose a non-legendary creature in play. Target creature becomes a copy of that creature till end of turn. Till end of turn? Man, come on. Well, it is an instant. So being able to do this anytime you want to, just opponent's combat step or something, is probably good. It's Commander too, right? So you're spoiled for choice. Usually you'll have 10 creatures to choose from, and one of them's got to be amazing and not a legend. You know what I mean? So non-legendary actually does hurt this a lot when you're talking about like casual Commander, you know? You really want to be able to copy their commanders because those are their best creatures a lot of the time. But still, this will probably always find something to do something with. So maybe you can like pull a surprise move on somebody, both offensively or defensively. But I still don't think you're going to want like a one-shot effect like this too often. There's probably better things to do with it. So I will say maybe if you need for like an OTK, like a big one-turn kill, right? You need 2 copies of the same guy out. And this helps you do that, but there's a bunch of other ways to do that. So I am going to say that this is like a 3.9. I actually want to rate it higher than that too. I'm feeling pretty generous today, but I'm also trying to stay objective. Again, the fact that this is like one-shotty, I think is not going to be as good as just a hard clone like most of the time. Precursor Golem is up next, printed in Scars of Mirrodin. 5 mana. Of any color for a 3/3 artifact creature that is a golem. When it ETBs, put 2 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature tokens onto the battlefield. That's 9 power for 5 mana. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell that targets only a single golem, that player copies that spell for each other golem the spell can target. Each copy targets a different one. So, okay. Well, you actually kind of don't want this in your golem deck. If you have more than just these 3 golems and like all your golems get killed by 1 lightning strike or whatever, that kind of sucks. But I guess our constructs golems, our construct tokens golems, I think they're just constructs, so that wouldn't work. But this would be okay in a construct deck because it's 3 artifacts for 5 mana and they're all threats, so that's cute. But obviously you're paying 5 mana for something that can still be 1-for-1 effectively, because it's a 3-for-1. You play 1 card, you get 3 guys, but it turns all of their removal into 3-for-1s too, so it's kind of balances out. This is a cute card, but it's not great. I don't really remember having seen this guy before. It's like, is he in the... No, that's not the Commander product. It's just retro artifacts. It looks good in a retro frame, I'll say that much, but I'm just going to throw like a 4.2 at this. I don't think that it's very good. So, Karn the Great Creator. Now, this is a good card. It's banned in Pioneer and it's banned in Explorer, restricted in Vintage, and completely legal in Modern. This is 4 mana for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker. Activated abilities of artifacts your opponents control cannot be activated. Sick. And then +1 until your next turn. Up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power and toughness, each equal to its mana value. Okay. And for -2, you may reveal an artifact card you own from outside the game, or choose a face-up artifact card you own in exile, put that card into your hand. So, what is it? Mycosynth Lattice or whatever is the combo with this, because it turns all of their stuff, all of their like lands into artifacts, and they can't tap them for mana. So, adorable combo. This is still like $6. It's $4 from Mystery Booster 2. What does it look like? White bordered Karn. That's awesome. I'd take a white bordered Karn, dude. That's great. Anyway, yeah, Karn's really good, man. When you're banned in a couple of formats and then restricted in freaking Vintage, then yeah, I think you're probably going to be the best card of the day. I think we have one more card after this, barring any bonuses. But we've already gone pretty long in this video. I just feel chatty, I guess. Want to tell stories. I went way too long on that story about my cousin that didn't actually have anything to do with Spor Frog, just like tangentially had to do with prophecy. Sorry about that. I know you guys are into it though. But Karn, God, I'm gonna give Karn a 7.7, and the reason that it might seem low to some people is because, again, this is mostly a combo piece. You know, like, it does other stuff. Don't get me wrong. You know, it's got the wish effect on it, and it technically makes a guy like every turn, so long as you have enough artifacts for plussing, and that's all good. But obviously the gimmick is what we're really, you know, buying the ticket for here, and you need other things for the gimmick. So even though it's a 2-card combo, which is easy enough, it's fairly mana intensive to actually assemble. That said, there's a reason the card is banned. I'm gonna go 7.8. I'll give it an extra 0.10 here. 0.1. Karn's very good. Karn's very good, but I'm not very comfortable going all the way to an 8. I'm just not. So last card of the day is Dusk Shell Crawler from Modern Horizons 2. This is 2 mana, 1 and a green for a 0/3 insect. When it ETBs, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample. So that is actually kind of a good last ability for 2 mana. But the card doesn't do a whole lot else by itself. But that's a pretty slick little global effect that I'm pretty sure is redundant with at least 1 or 2 other cards in Magic history. And redundancy in your +1/+1 counter deck is kind of good in Commander, especially when, like, you're looking for 2 drops anyway. So, I don't know. I don't hate this. 4. I'll go 4, because it is pretty narrow. You know, it has to be in the +1/+1 counter decks. But, again, as, like, an effect that you really, really want in your +1 counter decks, I think it's pretty good for just a couple of mana. That's a good investment. But that's all I've got for today. We're already at 17 minutes. I did not expect that to happen. But, you know, again, maybe you're into it. I hope it didn't go over your lunch break or take more time than it takes to air fry your nuggies or whatever you're doing. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.